So don't just hand over your kid as if somehow it's all going to be okay. Do your homework. When the woman was sitting across from me 8 weeks ago, 84 years of age, African-American, living in the Bronx, she was given 3 weeks to live by her physician at Sloan Kettering. She has stage 4 metastasized breast cancer. It's metastasized throughout her whole body. It's actually melanoma, her whole leg, the lesions, but it's metastasized all over. Kidneys, liver. And she was told that there's nothing they can do, and they gave her morphine. And because she couldn't walk because his legs swollen, and if you've ever seen the melanoma, her toes had big lesions on them, all up and down her leg. And she came to see me. And she said, is there anything you can do to deal with the pain so I don't have to take the morphine? I said, I can make some suggestions. I said, but what else would you like? She said, well, there's nothing else I can do. I said, why? She said, well, because the doctor told me I'm going to die. I said, well, the doctor may think they're God, but they're not. I said, so forget the doctor gave you a death sentence that you have to honor. I said, that's like saying, okay, time to commit suicide, jump off the ball, and fall. No. I said, let's talk about life, not death. Let's talk about how we can build up your immune system and watch what happens when natural immunity kicks in. And I gave her a simple story. I told her, I've been on a farm my whole life. I'm a certified organic farmer. I'm a vegan. And for those who live with the myth that you have to eat a lot of meat, be big and strong, you know, you'll be a puny little runt. Well, 190 with 2.1% body fat and having won over 600 races, the World Games, National Championships, Athlete of the Year, still racing, still competing, still winning, have muscle racing for 32 years. I'm glad I never believed them. So I said to this woman, I said, did you ever watch a cow being born? No. Well, when a cow comes out, the calf, it's seeing this wonderful world. And its tongue is licking everything and it's smelling everything in this environment. These are generally dirty environments. You know, it's a barn. And what the mother does, the mother is kissing the baby nonstop. What do you think is happening? What is happening is that as this little creature picks up microorganisms that normally would kill it, the mother takes those same microorganisms, creates antibodies, and puts the antibodies back through her milk. Wow. So every time now that little creature suckles on the teat, they're getting the real immunization. And that's how they survive. When I give horses or sheep or cow grass to eat, which is what they naturally should eat, they thrive. You see their coats, you see their health, their gums. Now give them hay, and give them oats, and give them dry barley, and you don't see it, they get sick. Give someone living foods, give them 11 to 12, 13 servings of fruits and vegetables, organic, give them juices, give them grains that are whole grains, beans, legumes, pulses, root vegetables, rutabaga, cauliflower, give them the cruciferous vegetables, and suddenly they thrive. And you think, wow, how's that possible? How is it possible in such a short period of time that I could go from being crippled and arthritic with a claw hand that I couldn't open and a neck that I couldn't turn from side to side? 2 people that I worked on last year in a 30-day clinical study. And they had to have chronic arthritis for at least 2 years being under medical care and on medications, or you could not qualify to get in the study. It was not a medical study, even though it was medically supervised. It was the one I always do, which is lifestyle modification, including diet, stress, exercise. We filmed them. On opening day, we filmed them after 28 days. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And we had a control group. Another group came, they listened, they wouldn't change. Here's what happened. And you can see it if you watch. And it's up on, I think it's now up on YouTube. You can actually see this in the documentary on reversing arthritis naturally. You'll see the woman who comes up who has a claw fist, she's moving her hands. The guy's moving like this. The pain gone. People who couldn't believe it was possible in 28 days. Well, if I could do it, why couldn't every rheumatologist do it? I have tapes from my archives where I debated the top rheumatologists in America who said on the record, and with complete righteous indignation, there is no food or beverage that can cause arthritis or treat arthritis. It's all garbage. But there are over 700 studies now proving otherwise. So what about all of us who believed otherwise and were ahead of the curve? I haven't seen any of those people who just gave people COX-2 inhibitors or gave aspirin, which kills 24,000 people a year. I haven't seen any of them change or apologize. Because what we have to fear in America is not new knowledge, not examples of what can be. Our greatest fear is that everything we believed, trusted, and striven for is no longer relevant. We refuse to become irrelevant. So as long as enough people believe in something, then it must be true. And if those people happen to have power and control or be respected, then it's never challenged. Today, 10 million American children are taking medications, including class 2 drugs like Ritalin. Did we suddenly have a generation that ended up with a brain chemical imbalance that we never had in history? No. We ended up with manufacturers who had drugs to sell and therefore created artificial diseases like social anxiety disease and adult defiance disease. Are we supposed to sit passively by and simply say, Jimmy was looking out the window. Jimmy must have a brain chemical imbalance.
That's what they did to
No,
me.
Jimmy is bored with your teaching.
That's what they did to me.
You're a stupid teacher.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't drug my kids because you're too damn lazy to teach in a way that excites him.
Yep.
My generation, I'm a baby boomer. Our entire generation would be on drugs if we were given the same opportunity as the new kids today. None of us would have been able to succeed in anything. We'd have had massive suicide. The #1 cause of death in the United States, look at the statistics, from 10 to 14-year-old boys is suicide. When I was going to school, no one committed suicide. And I went to the largest high school in West Virginia, not a single person. So I asked my mom, I asked my dad, I asked my older brother. No one. Today it's common. We have more vets each day who are dying, taking their own lives, than soldiers are killing these people. What does it say when you have 1 million vets who are disabled? That's the latest statistic. 900,000 who are homeless. I filmed them. I premiered the film here. American Veterans Forgotten and Betrayed. I found 16,000 of these vets living in the woods with nothing in Central Florida outside of Titusville. No water, no food. In fact, on Sunday when they would go to the local park, because some good church people honoring their spiritual values would bring out some meals. The people would stand in line, they would be given some food, they'd eat, and then the church people would clean it all up. Some people were offended by this. Probably some of the people who called you, the medical McCarthyists. And they said, we're offended these homeless people are down here. So they made it against the law. You can go to jail if you give a homeless vet food in Florida in this park. Now that's what we become. I support democracy. I do not support bureaucracies that have become a cancer upon us. The medical industrial complex, the political industrial complex, where every single one of its tentacles allows Wall Street to control our economy, and yet it contributes nothing to us. When over 44 million Americans have lost their homes, and yet neither Congress, the coward pimps they are, and they are pimps. I just wish they'd wear the pimp hat, drive the pimp-mobile, have 16 gold chains, gold teeth, tattoos, look like Mike Tyson, and just kind of be bopping up with their hand out saying, give it to me, give it to me, give me some sugar. Then I can accept them. The fools that these clowns are, they're all sociopaths. Did I miss something?
Yeah, no.
They are the classical signs of sociopath. People want control over you because of their own insecurity, and you can't trust them. They'll use and abuse, and that's all they've done. They say we want peace, and they commit war. They say we want freedom, And they give us the National Defense Authorization Act and the Patriot Act too, and they spy on us. They watch everything as we do on a, every single one of your phone calls has been monitored for the last 15 years. Every single email, every single thing you've done electronically, they have a record of. Who gives them the right to do that? And yet, instead of protesting, instead of saying, since when do we have no rights left? And why do you feel that you're entitled to our rights? We just stand up, so whatever we're told to do, we do it. So when they bring out this comic book that is called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Psychiatry number 5, that makes almost every behavior a pathology and gives us a drug for it, even one of the authors of it has rebelled against it. Now, is there science to prove it? Not a single study, not one study, not a single study. It's their opinion. They actually vote that symptoms cause these diseases. And where's the medical community standing up and saying, this is terrible? There's no reality here. We don't have that protest. Where are the parents? We don't have that protest. The media, we don't have that protest. Just educated consumers. And those of us who have not sold our soul and wouldn't, we will protest it. And I've encouraged a psychiatrist to come on my show to debate me on this. They refuse to. I'll take a few calls, a few questions before we sign off. In the back.
All right, I don't need a microphone. First of all, I am a mother of 3 wonderful children. 2 of my daughters were asked to get the Gardasil shot, and I flat out refused to get the Gardasil shot for my gorgeous 16 and 17-year-old daughters. The doctors were furious with me. They stopped speaking to me. They were completely cold. They completely estranged me from the office once I refused Gardasil shots, and I was so refusing. The whooping cough booster for my 22-year-old son going.
Let me just interrupt one thing. Before you all leave, I brought you all a free copy of the film. All right? So as you leave, would you be able to get someone to hand it to him, please?
Yes.
And if you're a couple, take one, so everyone will get a copy. This way you can watch it and share it with other people.
Yeah, and
go ahead, please.
And there's a reception and refreshments after Gary does his Q&A.
Go ahead.
We need to continue to speak up against the system, because the system is not doing us justice. I have become a recent activist because I've had to stand up, and I'm not afraid to speak out. I've called the FTC, the FDA, the legislators, Governor Cuomo, and I've been talking to conservation and environmentalists. I want to thank you, because I know that this vaccine situation is horrendous, and I'm on board with you all the way. But Gary, what is your hypothesis as to why the government wants us sequestered, silenced, sick? We're living longer, but we're living sicker.
Okay, first I think
why do they want us down here?
Okay, I don't believe that the government wants anyone sick.
What's your hypothesis?
I don't believe that any corporation wants us sick. I don't believe that any individuals wants us sick. I just believe that the consequences of their stupidity cause us to be sick. It's greed. For example, let me give you an example. Well, okay, I'm going to answer that. Let's say that you're a parent and you have an 8-year-old kid, and on Saturday morning you're watching television. Every single commercial is for food or beverage that can cause disease. Hence, we have adult diabetes at an epidemic level in children, heart disease in children. Now, we've never had that before because our parents in the past didn't feed us that crap off television. The stations know it's bad. The scientists and physicians know it's bad. The manufacturers know it's bad. But people don't want to interfere in someone else and how they make their money and what the media is doing, because more often than not, people feel that they're helpless to do so. But you're not helpless. My clothes, made in the USA. All right?
Gary, can I...
My food grown organically. My money out of their banks.
Gary,
So get off the grid, get off their grid, and therefore you start to see a truer picture. And by the way, anyone in the audience, any scientist, physician, public official, would like to look at over 8,000 studies in the peer-reviewed literature. Not one of those can prove the safety and efficacy of a single vaccine for a single individual. I'll be happy to share that with you to show you the volume of science. And I've testified and shared this before groups physicians